Hi, everybody. It's Kevin and Donna from RPH Ally and the Deprescribing channel. We are so excited to be here with
Mhm.
you guys today. And I don't know if you can see the beautiful background I have here. This is not my house at all. Donna and I were both laughing about it. Behind me is a disaster from kids breaking things down. And sometimes you think, oh man, was that the kids or was that me? And actually, today we're talking is, was that dementia or is it the drugs? And so segueing over to Donna, I'm so excited, Donna, because this happens way too often. You have families that are so
Mhm.
concerned that mom or dad or whoever might be family member took a turn, and you think, what happened? And you're blaming a disease state when sometimes there
Yeah.
could be something else at play, right?
Mhm. So I'm going to start off with a case that I had years ago, and
Wow.
it was profound in that this. Oh, by the way, hi, deprescribers. Glad you're with us today. So I got a call. I worked at an outreach program, and I received a call from a daughter caregiver, and she tells me that her dad is very bright scientist and just doing always on and just very smart intelligent man. And she said he had a surgery and it's been about a month and he's just not bouncing back. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. And we're going through the medicines, and as she's going through the medicines, one thing she tells me is that post surgery he started tramadol. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I said, "Well," and she told me that he's just not right. He's off. It's like he has dementia now, and I don't know what's going on. It's just not him. And she was really worried about him. So
Wow.
I said, "You know what? Let's talk about this a little bit." And we were talking about the tramadol, and I said, "Do you think he still has pain?" And she goes, I don't know. She goes, I keep giving him the tramadol, or he keeps taking the tramadol, one or the other, because taking it as prescribed for 4 weeks now. He had that much available to him. So I said, well, I go, if you're not certain, if he's not showing pain, it could be that the surgery is fine. Like it's post surgery long enough that he doesn't have pain anymore. So why don't you talk to the doctor about it and maybe just use it as needed instead, and you could always substitute with Tylenol at this point. So she ended up doing that, and we talked a couple weeks later, I want to say, and she's like, "Oh my gosh," she said, "my dad is back to normal." She said that was crazy. Like I really thought something major had happened to him, and it ended up being the medication. So, that was just one medicine, but as we know, many medicines can have cognitive effects. And it's really unfortunate how long people are on meds for, and really have this additive effect for years. In the So thinking about this, we can just talk about some of the meds, and some of the meds I've already talked about in some of the segments. But when we're really thinking about dementia, we always think like, oh, there's got to be an issue here. And so we're thinking about things like opioids and gabapentin and Z drugs, things I've already talked about, benzodiazepines, diphenhydramine, oxybutynin. Um, there's muscle relaxants and diuretics because they're changing electrolytes, sulfonylureas that are having a longer lasting effect in our older adults and causing hypoglycemic, causing confusion and issues with that. Anti anti Antidepressants, excuse me, just like the tricyclic antidepressants, especially dextromethorphan, cough and cold, right? That's an issue. And then thinking about the OTC antihistamines, tramadol, that we just spoke about, and antipsychotics. So there's so many medicines, and many of these medicines are used chronically. And so, as we are on them chronically for years, we're talking, you talk to people. I had somebody today who has been on some of their meds for over 20 years.
Wow.
And she's like, and that's what it is. And don't change them. It's like, whoa, like you could be doing some major harm because you're already confused. So those are some issues that we need to be thinking about. But I also want to share with you a really neat program that my students and physical therapy students at Mass College of Pharmacy did together recently. And I've been through the program a couple of times myself. So I just brought my students and kind of helped along with this. But it is a dementia workshop, and you get to
Awesome.
learn about how people feel with dementia. And they have to put packages of popcorn kernels in their shoes, and that's going to be like a neuropathy as people get older, so there's that discomfort, right? So there's some geriatric things with it too, and they put on many gloves too, and you have to tape certain knuckles so that you don't have the dexterity, right?
Yeah.
um, there's glasses that they have that are like a little bit darker, and so you're thinking about all of the things that older adults with dementia are probably dealing with too. And so all their sensory, they put earplugs in their ears, and and they put this sign on them: I have dementia. They have to go into a room, and they have to try to put their breakfast together. They have to try to put a shirt on and button things up. They need to try to write a check,
Hmm.
all with all of these, things that aren't quite right. There's noise in the background. There's like clutter everywhere that they have to try to navigate, and it's so frustrating. And now the students, they're in this garb for maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, and they're talking about how frustrated they are and how uncomfortable they are. And you think about what people are going through every single day and how exhausting it is. So when you think about dementia and not having the cognitive skills to navigate things, and then having these other issues, vision issues and hearing issues and neuropathies and things like that, it is horrible. And then think about the meds that they use for all of this, right? It's just compounded. And it's a program where the students are like, wow, never imagined this. Like,
I
yeah,
love that one because you bring up like all the drugs that you and I know that way too often I think I saw that one of our colleagues on at RPH, Jenna Quinn, said something like, I had a provider say there was no indication, I'm not sure what it is. It was just on there, so I left it.
yeah,
That
absolutely.
happens way too often. We get,
Yeah,
transitions of care issues that pop up. We get just accumulation of drugs and other polypharmacy kind of elements that go into
yeah,
play. But one thing you pointed out, I think right here that's really interesting since our title is dementia, or is it?
yeah.
Sometimes that person that has the hearing issues, the feeling issues, the clutter, the other
Hmm.
life stressors, they don't have dementia at all. They just have a
Yeah,
really tough living situation that they could have some given mental or psychological things
yeah,
happening in their lives that they are shutting down or pulling back, from things going on.
absolutely.
I know
Yeah.
that hearing, like, it was amazing, Donna, just the number
Mm.
of patients that had like wax buildup that after wax was released, like you'd think, why in the world didn't
Right.
they just get the wax out? Well, one, they
Yeah.
didn't know. Like their hearing was just
Right.
going away. They couldn't hear, so now they couldn't interact with people as much as often.
Yes.
And now the
Yep.
family's thinking there must be something wrong, like it must be dementia. No, it was just literally like
Yeah.
dad's ears were so plugged with wax that he doesn't feel like he
Right.
can interact with other humans like he used to.
Yeah. Yeah, so when we think of all these things, then we think about the meds, right? So someone with neuropathy, they're going to be on gabapentin, for example. But really, they might just need B12 supplements because they're on a proton pump
Metformin.
inhibitor and they're not getting the B12 that they need, and it's mimicking a neuropathy. So those are things that we need to be thinking about, and don't slap on the gabapentin necessarily. Let's make certain that their B12 is okay. Leg cramps and things like that, that they might be on, like the um, Requip. I'm sorry, I'm only thinking of the brand name.
Oh, yeah.
Ropinirole, excuse me. And thinking about like the leg cramps and restless leg syndrome, and when it could be low magnesium. So there are a lot of things that are issues. But what we're going to be talking about in a special segment here today is, just thinking about all those compounding things and how frustrating it is and how scary it is. And then people become anxious and upset and agitated because of all of these things that are going on, when really we could just be deprescribing medicines that are going to help them feel better. So when we're thinking about all of these things, we want to make certain that we're helping the patients, that we are understanding what the root cause is for issues. We don't want to make it so that things are worse for them, so that they're not able to socialize, like you said, not able to drive because their reflexes are down. It's a computerized world too, and get some confusion in there, and people just cannot manipulate that. And then if you think about the folks with the
Tactile.
neuropathy in their fingers, their phones and things do not work for them. It's really difficult if people have Raynaud's or other issues. They're not able to use technology well, especially those touch screens. So
Yeah.
lots of issues
Oh,
and lots of frustration.
no, that's perfect, Don. And I know that before I've always heard that is if you don't think meds first, then you're probably missing something, right? Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us today. And we're going to switch over to RPH Ally, but we're really excited to have you guys join us there. If you haven't already signed up, sign up for RPH Ally, go to rphally.com. And then when you get inside there, go to Donna's Deprescribing channel and join the conversation. We'd love to hear your insights on the patients you've encountered that have had dementia, but not actually had it. Donna, any
Right.
parting words?
So please join me. We're going to go in a little bit deeper to some studies and learn a little bit more about the meds that really affect dementia, where they can be deprescribed, and hopefully we can change that up for people so that we are not adding on dementia meds unnecessarily.
Okay. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kevin.